All right, how much do you need to invest monthly to become a millionaire? All right, before we get into this one, I'd like to ask you, if you find my content valuable, go ahead and hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell. This just might help YouTube to push this video out to those who might need help with their personal finances. All right, let's go ahead and get into this one. How much do you need to invest monthly to become a millionaire? Now, before we get into it, I would like to do a little bit of a defense of reaching the $1 million mark, because sometimes people kind of criticize or belittle reaching $1 million. They say things like, $1 million isn't what it used to be. $1 million is not enough to actually retire, or what I like to call your opportunity and options phase of your life. It's not enough to cover your expenses during that time, they say, because of inflation and different things like that. And inflation is real. Prices are higher now than they were in the past, and will most likely will be much higher here in the future. But $1 million is still a substantial amount of money. In fact, when I look at it, for someone to actually say that $1 million is basically nothing anymore, it's kind of ludicrous. And the reason that it's so outrageous to say that is when you look at the numbers, or you look at the reality of where folks are in life, it's just unreasonable to even say that. Let me go over some of the numbers here, okay? If you look at investable assets, and we're looking at investable assets here, not just basic like retirement assets. We're looking at not the overall, rather, net worth of an individual, but investable assets. Net worth can include a home, okay? But when we're talking about investable assets, we're only talking about money that you can actually access later when you reach that opportunity and option phase, or your retirement, that's in things like your 401k, your Roth IRA. This is stuff that you can access, excluding the value of your home. So with investable assets, okay, 9.3% of all U.S. households have $500,000 or more dedicated to retirement accounts, okay? 9.3% of all American households have that $500,000. So 10%, actually less than 10% of American households have accumulated $500,000 of investable assets. So to kind of put this another way, if you accumulate $500,000 worth of investable assets in things like a 401k, Roth IRA, things like that, then you're doing better than 90% of all Americans. So you're in the top 10% if you accumulate $500,000. Now, if you accumulate that $1 million that we're talking about in this video, you're one of the American households that's accumulated $1 million. That means that you're in the top 4.7%. Only 4.7% of American households have $1 million or more. So that means, if we kind of round that up, that you're in the top 5%. That means that approximately 95% of Americans do not have that $1 million. You're in that exclusive up there in the 5% if you make it to $1 million. So I just don't buy that $1 million is no big deal. It's a huge deal. It's a great accomplishment. So I'm going to kind of jump off of that soapbox, but I want to just dispel that $1 million is not a serious achievement. It's a great achievement. It's something to be applauded if you get there. And you can get there. But let's talk about what it takes monthly at different ages to actually achieve $1 million. Now we're going to start with the 20-year-old. If you're 20 years old and you're listening to this, or younger, and you're learning about investing it's an exciting time for you. If you invest in something like a broad-based index fund, like an S&P 500 fund, at age 20, you only need to invest $95 a month to achieve millionaire status. That's if the S&P 500 performs like it has since its inception, which is around a 10% return. Incredible. At 20 years old, you only need to invest $95 a month. And now it increases obviously as your age increases because you have less time to your retirement date, which, to digress a little bit, here in the United States, it's approximately 65 years old that most people retire or reach that opportunity and options phase of their life where their assets can pay for their lifestyle. So at age 20, it's just $95, but when you get to age 25, it takes $184 a month invested in something like an S&P 500 fund to reach millionaire status by age 65. That's at least $1 million that you would have by age 65 if the S&P 500 were to perform like it has since its inception if you start at age 25. Let's go to age 30. At age 30, it requires for you to save $340 per month, or approximately at that. So about $340 a month at age 30. Let's go to age 35. At age 35, it takes $606 per month to reach millionaire status by retirement, age 65. That's quite a bit. But think about this. If you've been listening to any of my videos and you eliminate one thing that kills wealth, car payments, people buying these new cars, where on average it's about $700 to $800 a month that they're paying in car payments, some $1,000 a month. If you eliminate that one bill, that average of $700 a month, and not drive new vehicles, but buy quality used vehicles and pay for them cash, then you can have that $606 per month that you need at 35 to save through age 65 retirement, and you would reach millionaire status. Let's go to age 40. Age 40 requires $1,052 a month invested in something like an S&P 500 fund to reach millionaire status by age 65. So once you get to 40, it's over $1,000 a month that you're going to need to actually reach that, $1,052. And again, if you can eliminate car payments, often people have two cars. Even if you are somewhat reasonable and buy a quality used car that's around $500 a month in a where you have two cars, then that's $1,000 per month. So again, eliminating car payments could put you in a position that even at 40 years old, that you have a good runway to make it to that millionaire status by age 65. Let's go to age 45. At age 45, it requires $1,806 per month. This is where it's going to get very challenging. Even if you were to eliminate car payments, okay, you would probably need to pull in a side hustle or something extra and dedicate that to actually building wealth through investing to get to that $1,806 per month that you would need at age 45 to make it to millionaire status by age 65. Now let's go to age 50, all right? At age 45 is $1,806, but at age 50, it climbs to $2,480. That is a lot. But it's also possible, if you've been listening to these videos, if you're eliminating debt over time, not having car payments, and maybe even you're at the point to where you pay off your home mortgage. Well, $2,480 a month kind of becomes reasonable if you don't have a mortgage payment and you don't have car payments. So it's possible, okay? So you can dig in if you get rid of debts and actually invest and get to millionaire status. And we'll just throw age 60 in here. At age 60, it requires about $13,051 a month. That gets to be kind of out of range at that point. But that doesn't mean that you give up, okay? Because later on, there are other things like Social Security, or maybe a little bit of part-time employment that you could have at age 65 to make it through retirement. The point is to start as soon as you can and do what you can, no matter which stage you're at. Which brings me to, as you study millionaires and look at millionaires, the typical millionaire saves 15 to 20% of their gross income for retirement, okay? This is a millionaire habit, to save on a regular basis, to invest that saved money in something like an S&P 500 index fund. I listen a lot to the Money Guy. They suggest saving 25% of your gross income. This is the behavior on a consistent basis that gets you from where you're at to $1 million at retirement. You just need to be consistent, okay? Just to throw another stat in here, a powerful stat here is that the average household income here in America is about $83,730, okay? So almost $84,000 a year. That translates to about $7,000 per month. And I talk about car payments a lot, okay? At $7,000 per month, if we look at that $1 million accumulated over a working lifetime, and we take 4% of that $1 million, because that is the 4% rule. That way, when you accumulate that $1 million, if you're only pulling 4% of that per year, that's about $40,000 per year. And that assures that it will last for you throughout your retirement or your opportunity and options phase. If you do that and you were earning $7,000 a month, you might say, hey, there's a shortfall, because I'm only bringing in $4,000 a month by taking 4% of my million that I've invested annually. Well, if you do not have car payments and you do not have a house payment, okay, that easily from that $7,000 per month would be less that $3,000 taken away by not having a house payment that's maybe $2,000 and having 2 cars that are another $1,000, so that's $3,000 a month. There you've got it. $3,000 from $7,000 leaves you with $4,000 a month, and so that $1 million can easily cover your lifestyle. These are powerful concepts, okay? Another thing that I'll tell you is it's somewhat of an elite group to actually be completely debt-free. No house payment, no car payment, no credit card payments, or any of the things that people get themselves into like payday loans. It's about 23% of people who are completely debt-free. Why not become a part of that group? So that $1 million is extremely powerful. And even if you're very conservative and stay on the 4% rule, once you accumulate your $1 million, and that's $4,000 a month, you can easily have a very nice lifestyle because you don't have all of those other debts. I hope this is helpful. In fact, my wife inspired me to actually do this video because she said, it's motivating to know what you need to save every single month to reach millionaire status. And to just throw it back again, at 20 years old, it only takes $95 a month. That's it. But if you wait till 50 years old, it's over $2,400 per month. In fact, it's $2,480 per month. Start when you can. But even if you're 50, you still have 15 years till you retire. So don't just give up and throw your hands up. Just get in there and get started and let compounding interest start to work for you. Again, I'd like to thank you for joining me on this walk. And if you find my content valuable, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell rather. Thanks again for listening.